um, putting in boundaries and looking at how I compromise myself in relationships and why, where the triggers are, and clearing out. So one of those weeks. It's
Yeah,
always
well,
one of those weeks for me because I'm on this journey. What about yourself? Having said that, just to end on that,
yeah,
today is the day that I've had the epiphanies and the revelations. And last night I listened to Beatles and I just listened to music all day. Nothing spiritual. It's
yeah.
just music from from teenage, from my years, throughout bringing up and clearing out. So I was in a very um, mutable place.
Mm.
And today I have clarity, so I know where to come from in the response to compromise rather than reacting to it. So I had to go in my cave to sort that out.
Yeah, of course, that's what happens in when we're going through the shift, is that all this stuff rises up
Yeah.
and creates um, bit of drama or a bit of disconnect. And I suppose that's the time when it's important to stay centered and to not panic. It's just to let it all come up and say, there we go again, and to let it all go. And then it's
Mm.
sort of like the body resetting itself. And then, like you
Mm.
say, when you wake up the following day, it's like, everything's good. The sun is shining. Well, it's not shining, but it's all is good in the world. It's
Mm.
I know with this the last week, with the American
Oh,
election going on, the all of the I suppose all of the angst and all of the shifting that's been going on, it also allows us to allow our shift to happen and allow
yeah.
our all our stuff to come up. So it's always I find it's always interesting. I used to find when I was doing Reiki first, anything that I was going through or any issues that I had, it seems everybody that was coming to me was dealing with the same thing, and it seemed to be uh, like a conscious thing that everybody was dealing with things or similar stuff at the same time. And sometimes we realize that or we think that it's just me that's going through this. It's only me that has these problems. And as somebody once said there the other day, what makes you think you're special? What makes you think you're the only one that has these problems or these issues? And I think when we can sort of lighten it up a
Yeah.
little bit, and
Yes, lighten up. That's one of my programs. One of my light codes is I can go serious,
mm,
but the gift in that is lightness.
absolutely,
And even though I know it intellectually and I feel it in every cell of my body when I'm in that place, I can still go into that shadow. And yeah, and so it's interesting. I
mm,
did feel that drama, of the election because it went on for so long,
mm,
and a lot of the people most of the people that I interact with are the Americans,
mm,
because it's a bigger country than England and they are more receptive to uh, the bouncy codes of spirituality.
mm,
They don't perhaps like to go in as deep. I'm not saying everybody, of
mm,
course
mm,
they do, and I'm not saying that the British or the Irish, and the Irish and other countries are superficial. It's just that the Americans, being a young country, tend to accept and embrace spirituality in their bouncy way more than the traditional imperial
yeah,
royal UK.
Well, that is something that I've always noticed with the Americans is that they bring their religion into everything. You know, when they're on the Oscars, when they're thanking, when they're giving thanks, they nearly always thank God as well as everybody else. Uh, Before they start their ministries and their government thing, they have a prayer of thanks and they call in God. So they seem to bring it more into their life. I know over here, like religion seems to be happening on a Sunday, and the rest of the week, you know, it's very seldom talked about. And people seem to maybe feel the same way that our spirituality or religion is only Sunday morning at whatever time.
Mm.
Um, we don't seem to bring it into our law courts that nobody says we bless everybody now or we thank anybody or we call in God or the angels. Because these are the times really when we should be bringing them into um, challenging times when we have to make big decisions, when the government are governing the country. Uh, it would be, I feel, that a better thing if they were having a little prayer at the start of things and bringing in the awareness of spirit of the divine into the daily thing and as all. I think we could have a better day when we take time every day to connect with the divine, with spirit, and to remember that I suppose that one that we're not alone, that we're part of everybody, we're all connected. Uh, but to know to try and bring in a higher purpose, uh, especially if you're in a position, if you're in a high position where you have to make judgment on other people or make decisions which are going to be affecting other people. The higher our consciousness in this matter, the better, I think, you know. So that's what I love about the Americans, you know, that they bring God in everywhere. And even if you're talking to them on the street, they're saying, God with you, you know. Um, eh, I think it's a nice thing, you know, and
It
it can,
is, and I feel that, you know, even in a scientific way, if we breathe, we just take that moment to pause and breathe
mm,
before going out there in our day, and take that moment to call in our inner wisdom, our inner
yeah,
intelligence by breathing. And a prayer is like a breath,
mm,
because we're taking a moment for ourselves to make a good intention.
mm,
And if we make a good intention, then we're setting ourselves up for more possibilities and more opportunities for us to bring that back towards our day.
yeah, absolutely.
Um, and whereas if we just go out there, I've noticed it with myself. I have a
Mm,
practice, and some days I've thought, I very rarely now, because it's just my practice, I
mm,
very rarely go into my day without taking time to bring in that inner wisdom. I call them the angels, the living
mm, mm,
intelligence. And unless I'm really, 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 you know, desperate, and then I go straight to God,
yeah.
um, or my understanding of that relationship that I have with that one being. And I've noticed the odd occasions when I haven't done it, my day has been just not quite as um,
In the flow.
in the flow.
Mm,
That's it, in the flow. And yeah, and it doesn't necessarily, you know, it doesn't mean that I'm avoiding, or, you know, there's going to be what's the word, a bypass for my lessons,
mm,
and an opportunity for me to, and it's not about righting wrongs, it's more about um, tweaking, say, mistakes that don't serve me anymore.
mm,
And then, and of course there are, you know, people are, I find, avoid righting wrongs because, you know, there's no right and wrong. Yet as a physical person, you know, as the spirit in the physical body, sometimes there are things that we do that are not in that are compromising our heart and compromising the other person. So
mm,
if you want to call that wrong, then I think okay, because I think that our body gives us a measurement within our thinking, feeling, um, listening, you know, whether we feel comfortable or whether we feel calm and sustained will tell us whether something we're doing is compromising ourselves or compromising somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
because we know
so,
within.
because we know within,
Mm,
and we feel that energy drop. I mean, that's one way of describing it. You sort
mm,
of have that, or we try to skate over it because we don't want to face it, and we get
mm,
ourselves into even more of a big black hole. So, yeah, I think that going within and starting the day gives us an opportunity to just bring towards us more opportunities
mm.
that are sustainable for us, that are uplifting for us, and also serve the wider community,
Mm.
for sure.
That's it, and how, like I said, how important it is to have that daily practice, to give yourself that time to connect with yourself, to connect with it within, and to breathe. I find that that's a great way. It's just by breathing and bringing yourself back into the body, out of the head and into the heart, into the body, taking time every day. So
Mm.
often you see in the morning time, people, they're in the car and they're rushing around, and clearly they're late for whatever it is they're supposed to be. They haven't given themselves time, and everything is erratic, and rather than giving yourself time, making sure that if you have to be at a place at a certain time, that you get up, you give yourself time to do your practice, and to get up and go through the day with ease and with grace. There seems to be things that people have kind of forgotten about, or maybe they're unaware of the importance of it, or how better their day can be
Mm.
uh, when they do that, when they have this connection with the self. And like I said about, I think in life is all about exercise. Or giving ourselves challenges, if you like. There's always these issues, these situations that we find ourselves in, that we're given the opportunity to be better, to do better than we did the last time, or to heal, or to release, to forgive, to let go. That these challenges are always arising up, and unless we are connected to ourselves, we will react. We Some people react with violence, or with just lash out there, rather than taking time and saying, here's another situation for me to practice letting go, or to practice forgiveness, or to practice loving myself, or loving
Mm.
others.
Mm.
And it's
I
it,
think
it
when you talk about release, sometimes it's just going inside and feeling that there is an agitation there, or there is some
yeah.
anger, and you're not in a space, and you're not going to be in a space for calm.
Mm,
However, if you go out with that anger and frustration, if you project it out, you're just going to bring it back in again.
yeah,
You're just mirroring back what's inside, and it's probably an old hurt somewhere that needs some loving attention, a big hug,
exactly.
without a judgment. If we have that agitation, we could perhaps think, okay, right now, what can I do? And maybe it's go out and do some gardening, or do some hoovering, or do something
Mm,
really to get the body shifting instead of judging it. And
yeah,
then whoever comes into our energy field in that moment, we're not going to, project it onto and then cause ourselves more
yeah,
hurt, and even more guilt. And then you get into a vicious circle. So sometimes going in is that just recognizing that you are this little inner child
mm,
having a bit of a tantrum. And what would you do? You would give that child some reassurance and some hug and relaxation, so that the body can relax, and from that place eventually the calm will come in. And if you can't bring it into yourself straight away, that's okay too.
mm,
Just allowing, accepting, and embracing whatever comes up is
exactly.
okay too.
It's a practice, because that's what's wonderful about the animals. That the deer in the jungle, when the tiger attacks it and it runs away, and if it does fortunate enough to get away, it shakes itself off and carries on eating, carries on with its day. Whereas humans, if something triggers us or makes us react, we don't seem to have that ability, or we don't remember to shake it out. We hold that within us. And unless you say, take that breath and just take the time, or which is great too, is doing something.
Mm.
Energy, like you said, getting out there, gardening, doing some sort of physical exercise where we physically release the strong emotion that's going on within us, and
Mm.
allowing something new to happen.
Mm.
But it's
Something
very
that you do, Declan, often, and I myself do it, is listen to music. Let the music dance.
exactly,
Dance it
yeah,
out,
yeah,
because
yeah, yeah,
that's shaking. Dance it
yeah, yeah,
out. Dance like no one's watching or like
yeah,
everyone's
yeah,
watching.
yeah,
It
yeah.
doesn't matter. There's no right way to dance. It's
No,
your own rhythm.
it is. It's a powerful thing to dance, and I think people don't. Um, some people think that dance is only for teenagers or only for young people, and it's nice to see in some religions. You see the old granddad there with the big grey beard, and they're out giving it the oh la 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 la, and they're dancing around the place, and it's great. And it's like,
It is. I
it.
posted something on my Facebook page, and it's I don't know how old this gentleman is, but the colour of his hair is the same as mine, and he's he's got a curvy figure,
uh,
and I don't know. He's out in the marketplace, and somebody's captured him saying, "This has made my day," and he's dancing.
yeah,
And he's just going with the flow of the music. And I don't know if it's gone viral or not, but he's lots of likes because he's just at one with himself and at one
mm,
with the music. And I just look at it and I think he's great.
yeah, yeah,
you want to meet that man. You would
yeah,
want to
yeah,
meet
yeah,
that man, no matter what age you are. You would want to meet that man.
yeah, yeah. It's great, and it's yeah. Uh, Sometimes we all take life too seriously,
Mm.
and we need to remind ourselves that chill out, relax, smile,
Chillax, as they say.
dance a little bit, yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah, be like the child. Remember what the child was like, where you get up in wonder and anticipation as to the joy and the happiness that can happen. And yeah, I think it's the inner child. It's while we have to recognize the hurts that the inner child has, but also to recognize the joy and the innocence that's there, and to connect with that bit, and the wonder and the sense of anticipation, and to allow ourselves to be like that inner child, where it's like, oh, the magic, and the wonder, and it's like, oh, what's going to happen, and to allow that, more of that, to rise up in ourselves, instead of being too
To
serious and everything has to be, yeah, too rigid.
to reinvent it, yeah, to
Yeah.
be resourceful, to do whatever it is that you do. Creativity, it could be in lots of different ways. It could be that you like to dance to music. I think everybody likes to dance, but even if you don't, there's other ways, isn't there? Some people like to get out there in the garden, have fun. Don't take
Mm.
it seriously. And put a funny movie on. There's different ways, isn't there? In
Yeah.
the work that I do in the Gene Keys, we say 10% on the shadow. So you are acknowledging there's some
Mm.
hurt there, and 90% on the gift and the pure essence and of who we truly are.
Mm.
So absolutely. So Declan, what juicy things have you got in store for us today?
Well, I was thinking about that now. I know yesterday or last week we were talking about letting go, and it seems to be all, for me, going through the week, it all seems to be part of the same process, the letting go, the forgiveness. And like we said at the start, that I think that we're going through that everyone's going through this transitioning period, the earth, ourselves, the governments, everything.
Mm-hmm.
And to remind ourselves to let go, to be in the now. And what we've been talking about just recently, that's kind of covering it. And I was looking through books, and I said, well, I read from this one, I read from that one. And it kind of said, no, we just keep it off the bat, and light, and just to see what arises.
Yeah.
And what we seem to be talking about is the thing about letting go and the importance
Yeah.
of it. And I suppose to try and keep it light and not to be too serious about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt that if I was reading about the book that I was reading, and it was
Mm.
kind of very deep and it was very maybe too heavy,
Yeah.
where I think at this time we need something more light.
Bring the light into it.
Exactly. And to
So,
be
so read the book from a light perspective,
from a
from
light
looking at
perspective,
it from
yeah,
it.
you know,
Yeah.
and to have more fun in our life. And
Yeah.
I know England is in lockdown, and over here we've been in lockdown for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And for me, it doesn't really make much of a difference because I'm in the country. I have the ability to go out and get into nature and have a walk, where some people might not have. And it's times like this, I think, where people sort of really need to connect with themselves and to see
Yeah.
and to get creative and see how they can
Mm.
be more light in the situation, how they can be more loving, more kindness to themselves, and how they can nourish the inner child within themselves, because they have this time now uh, to be with themselves. As
Mm-hmm.
Sadhguru, I always like the way he says when he's talking about, with people, um, people talking about they're angry or they're this and they're that. And he says, well, if you're with yourself and you find yourself getting angry, you've got a problem, because it's you're the one that's creating it. You're creating it about yourself. And
Mm.
so if we can realize that, above all, I think we need to be kinder with ourselves, to be more loving and compassionate, because I think a lot of people do go around beating themselves up with a big stick
Mm.
or over
Well, I
many different
have.
things. Yeah, I know I've tried
And
many times.
definitely, even I still do.
Yeah.
I still do. I was doing it. I was in a process, and I thought, um, in our relationship,
Mm,
because all relationships really need to come from that place of loving. And if there's agitation, if you can't come from that place, then
yeah.
it's my stuff. It
Yeah.
really is my stuff. And it might be that it's my stuff and I'm being codependent and I need to back away from this. I'm being too needy. I'm
Mm,
expecting too much from the other person. I need to let go of that and have
mm,
a look at, okay, what is it and why am I holding on to this? And it could be a pattern from way back when.
yeah.
And that's so to relax into that and think, well, okay. And maybe I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about a comment that somebody made, and it was just a joke they made, and it hit me, it triggered me.
Mm,
They'd forgotten it, but I was carrying it. And I thought, well, what is it? And I looked, and it was some comment that reminded me of something that had happened between me and my father when I was a little girl.
mm,
A strictness and a sharp tone in a response to me just playing. It doesn't matter. I mean, I love my father, but like all of us, we're not perfect. And at the time, he was looking after 6 children. He didn't have a lot of money. He was devout Catholic, so he was always trying to get it right.
mm,
And I was, we were bedlam in the house because we didn't have strong boundaries. And
mm,
so he snapped, when I was, I don't know, playing, and he was on nights. He was probably very tired. But a
mm.
young child doesn't,
Understand that, yeah.
uh, cannot focus. We cannot, what's the word, conceptualize all
Mm,
that. For us, it's just that moment of shock. It's shock, isn't it? Oh,
mm,
and you feel that pain. And I internalized it because I have a proudness to my nature. So
mm,
you've got the nature comes into that, and that's what I did. And I also did it to protect myself. So there's
mm,
nothing right or wrong in it, but I brought me back. And what I needed to do, I needed to cry.
mm,
I didn't then. I needed to now. I didn't want to.
mm,
I didn't want to cry in front of my brothers and sisters. Maybe I would have felt, that they might have laughed at me or something.
mm,
So I did, and it took me a long time to get there. But I sat with it and I cried, and it helped because I put some of my favourite songs on. So it was a bit
mm.
morbid, but it's what I needed. You
Yeah,
know, I
yeah,
was
yeah.
listening all the old romantic, and then I thought about all my relationships that hadn't worked out, and I thought, well, I'm going to go into it because it's just me and that. And then I looked at the patterns in those, and I thought, yeah, I did expect my relationships to save me, you
Mm,
know. And there lies a revelation, you know. Do I want to be saved by anybody? Not really. I
mm,
want to be strong in myself. So, but as the tears went and I released, I didn't try, I didn't sort of, there were times where I sort of, I could hear the critic and I thought, I'm not listening to you. I'm just going to love myself and listen to this music, you know. And I did break my detox because I did feel like some comfort. So I had a nice milky coffee, not
mm,
milk because I'm vegan and that's just my choice, but I had some oat milk. But I don't have coffee because I just try not to. It affects my kidneys. But I did, and I had some chocolate, and I thought, okay, you know, if I put a couple of pounds on, so what? You know,
mm,
I'm loving myself, and that's all I did. I didn't do the housework. I didn't do the washing up. I watched myself criticize myself for a moment. I thought, no, I'm going to love me, and I did. And this morning, and I went to bed. You know, I got a hot water bottle with my cat with me, and this morning I feel so much lighter.
mm,
And that's going within. It doesn't have to be anything extremely spiritual. It's just about loving myself. And I realized that the biggest, the juiciest, the most um, joyous caretaking that I am doing in my life is caretaking for my inner child.
mm,
And I feel that by doing that, it ripples out because I'm softening. I'm not that child in there frozen. I'm the child that's starting to soften and come out to play more. And
mm,
by doing that, I'm softer. My energy field, people that come into my life feel safer with me.
mm,
Um, and and I notice by doing that, I can feel a little bit sensitive to harsher energies. So I just go back in and I reassure myself that it's okay. And you don't have to play with those energies. You can just walk away and
mm,
be in softer energies. Or it may be that I'm strong enough in that moment because I'm protecting myself to be the parent and say, you know, I can't be in this energy. I'm just going to go do some washing up or whatever I need
yeah,
to do,
yeah.
or some reading or some studying. So that's where I'm at with
Mm,
going inside. You know,
mm,
I do often sit there and do the breath work because you know, you do that so well. And I know that if I am stuck in this place, in this anxious place up here because of some trauma that is being triggered from a present situation,
mm,
somebody shouted at me because they're in a bad mood, and I've taken it on board as mine, you know, because it's triggered something. If you do breathe into your belly, then it does calm
yeah.
that
Calms it
too.
down.
Yeah.
Mm. But it's interesting. You brought up two fairly interesting points there about the importance of boundaries and the importance of allowing things when they start, when something triggers you and you have all of this angst coming up, when we can open our arms and embrace that and say, yes, let all the shit, let all of this stuff come up, you know, mm, do your worst. And all of a sudden it's like it'll come up and poof, gone. And it's going, what was I all anxious about? What was, the hurt just sort of seems to dissipate when we can allow it to come up and intensify that. And then just to poof, allow it all to go. It's like it's like the steam coming up from the kettle, it rises up and we take the lid off and it's like shoots out. And it shoots out of, like I said, out of our body, out of our energy field, leaving us lighter and happier. And when we can, I think a lot of people have problems creating boundaries because maybe they're maybe unsure of what really does boundaries mean. And especially if you're coming from a place where you want to make people happy, or you feel that you're the one that has to be taking care of people. It's often at these times that we have lowered our boundaries, that we feel that we should be there for everybody, where really we really need to be have to be looking after the inner child and to have these set boundaries where, some things just aren't acceptable. And sometimes we have to walk away. We've got to put the hand up and say, stop. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to be with that sort of situation. And just to strengthen our energy field. I think, our energy field doesn't start here. It starts way out there. Some
Mhm.
people will say it's 5 meters, it's 10 meters, it's 50 meters, that it goes out there. So life is coming towards us way before it reaches here. So the stronger we can have this energy field around us, the stronger we can be connecting that with ourselves, the
Mhm.
stronger this field is going to be around us where especially if we have our set boundaries,
Mhm.
where we can't let this stuff in, that it'll bounce off us and go out there again. And we can stay in this place of connectedness and in heart centered. And I
Mhm.
think with that in mind, I think maybe we'll do, I won't say a little process, because I think life is all about process. And sometimes people just want to feel good,
Mhm.
So I think maybe we'll do, I was going to say either we'll start with a song from James Twyman, or maybe we'll just do a little meditation. What do you feel?
I think that we've done it. I've got a poem which is all about she let go, but maybe I can read that at the end because we've
Yeah,
done quite a bit of talking. So let's listen to some music. Yeah.
absolutely. Now, let me see now. Might have to put the glasses on for this. Let me see what James Twyman has in store for us. Okay, share screen, share music. Okay, this one is Your Light is Shining
Mm.
by James Twyman. So let me see. Can you hear that okay?
Can't hear it at all yet.
Okay. Okay, one more. Oh, I tell you, lovely song that. And it's
Nexium Control helps protect you
amazing.
around the clock from heartburn, so your
Yeah.
day just flows.
Oh,
A coffee to start.
oh. Let me see. I think the
Yeah.
music is gone now. Yeah,
Yeah, I had to move to that. That's beautiful.
it's nice. I like his music. It's very interesting man, that James Twyman. That
Mhm.
you know, his road, that where it's taken him. He was married and he had young children, and they died in a car accident, and it sort of turned him around, put
Mm,
him on the spiritual path where he had to go inward, and he had to really make this connection because of the hurt and the pain that he was, and the sense of loss that he had. And he now lives in Mexico, and he writes this music from the heart, and he's become a monk, and a lovely story. We won't, but
but if people want to Google him, James
oh, James
Twyman
Twyman, yeah, and
has a wonderful
they
story from
yeah,
the deepest darkest, deepest, tragedy,
yeah,
losing his wife and children, into
to where he is now,
meeting, to where he is now, to where
yeah,
he is now.
and
And I was thinking that, when I was dancing to his music just then, and and listening to the words, I could really feel my heart expanding
mm,
and my cells bouncing, and that uplifting beat, and mm, you feel it. You feel his heart in that
mm,
music for sure.
you feel the love,
Yeah.
yeah. And of course, it was my favorite beat too because it was nice and slow. I love the slow moves.
Well, when I was learning, it was doing my biodancer diploma, dance diploma. We were taught, because one of the quickest ways to get out of the head and into the body, and therefore into the heart,
Mm,
is through dance. And we were taught to dance to the beat. You can be all like this and whatever, but if you keep to the beat, you're
mm,
actually bringing the energy into your body, into the earth, and you
mm,
bring the spirit in as well. And it's grounding.
mm,
So, and then, if you have that beat, you can go off here, there, and everywhere if you want to, but to have that beat at
yeah,
whatever pace, there's always a pace for someone. I was sat down.
yeah,
But anybody, whenever you put some music on, if anybody wants to fly around the room or just do it on a chair, or just,
mm,
or get the drum, whatever, this is an opportunity to connect through music.
absolutely, yeah, and like that too. I think when you close your eyes and just let the body do, because a lot sometimes they're like, if you can close your eyes and just, like you said, connect with the beat, that your body will instinctively move. It will do its own little thing without you becoming aware of it. And when I think when you're conscious of people looking at you, or what are people, how are they going to be judging you, and what are they going to think? When we can shut that off and just let our body do, and to do whatever it is, as like you said, as if there's nobody watching. Um,
And everyone's a
that's
dancer.
sort of, yeah,
Everyone is
yeah,
naturally. It's not about steps. That's a different type of dancing.
yeah,
But the natural rhythm of your rhythm,
yeah,
everyone's individual rhythm to the pulse of life,
mm,
life force energy, is unique to them. And
yeah.
so it's not about what anybody else is doing or what anybody else looks like.
No, and you can see it in these tribal documentaries where they're around the fire, and at some stage the drums are going and the instruments are going. At some stage somebody will get in and do their thing, and then somebody else will get in and do their thing, and it's all different. It,
Yeah.
that everybody expresses themselves in their own unique way, and everybody has the given permission, if you like, or the right to, yes, to present itself there, and then nobody's judging them, and nobody's saying, oh, that's right and that's wrong. You just allow yourself to be who it is you are. And I think when we can allow ourselves to be
Mm.
who we are, to allow what's in
Mm.
there to rise up and come up, rather than
Mm.
saying I have to be a certain way,
Mm.
but to be yourself. And what greater gift we can bring to the world is to bring ourselves. allow ourselves to be here now, to
Mm.
allow ourselves to be in this conversation, to express ourselves, to be your magnificence, and to go out there and share that with the rest of us. To be yourself in this world, in this time. Uh, no greater thing, I think, that no greater gift can somebody give to us and to the world and to themselves, is to
Yeah.
be that person.
Yeah.
I think there's this, especially when we're in lockdown. I think, when people are told you have to do this, you have to wear a mask, you can't go over there, you have to do this. There's all these conditions being put on us, and we're in World War One, World War Two, people fought for our freedom, and
Yes.
this year that's been taken away, been eroded from people. This sort
Yeah.
of sense of freedom. And so I think it's important where we can reconnect with ourselves and reconnect with allowing ourselves to be, and getting in touch with that freedom within. Because somebody once said, the person who wrote that book about, they were in Auschwitz and they survived, and they were saying, how did you survive? And I said, nobody was taking this away from me.
Yeah.
I always
Yeah.
connected with what's in this, and nobody can take that away. And like that with ourselves, nobody can take that away from us. And when we connect with that and that strength, and be ourselves, and just to bring that forth. And in this time of lockdown, and time of where we feel that maybe our freedoms are being eroded a little bit, it's just to know that what's inside, nobody can change that except ourselves. So unlock yourself, free yourself, give yourself permission to, yay, to be you, and
Yeah.
to
We have the keys to
exactly.
unlock.
And even if it is in your room in the apartment and you can't go anywhere, just be yourself there, and
Open the window.
open the window, do what the Italians did, to start singing.
Yeah. We have
And
each other as well.
exactly,
From
yeah.
that place of, I think from our inner fire, the fire in our belly. Some people call it the Kundalini energy. It's the fire in our body. When we go in, we ignite that fire, and that fire is what connects us to that source, that life force energy. I remember listening to, I think it was Osho, saying that we sometimes as humans think that we run out of energy, and that is impossible, because we're conditioned to think that energy's out there. You put the light on and the energy's there, and yet we know that there are engineers that have made energy from the sun that's eternal, except some people wouldn't necessarily like that, because they wouldn't make all the money that they make. But the point I'm making is that the energy never goes. And he said, sometimes he says you can be really tired, think you've got no energy, but you could be sat there and you watch a child run into danger, and you don't think about how tired you are. You get up and you run over to save that child, because your energy is always there.
Yeah.
That inner fire.
Yeah, exactly. And it's I think the one thing that blocks the energy is emotional stuff that may be going on with us, and the head, if stuff that's
Yes, yeah, stuck emotion instead of energy and motion, which is what emotional is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Energy and motion, we get it frozen and stuck from a trauma.
Yeah.
So yeah, get it moving,
Exactly.
and let it come out. Let it come out.
Best way, shake it all up, shake it all up.
Shake it all up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, would you like some more James
It's
Twyman?
interesting. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I like that. So on to this one.
Let me see if I can find them back again. Where are we? Oh, I think I got rid of them altogether.
It's interesting while you're looking for it. We talk about no one can, the prison within. When there was people who were imprisoned, a lot of the songs that came from the slave time were because no one could stop that singing, and that's where they got the freedom. That's how they communicated and talked to each other, through
Absolutely.
song. And through a lot of tribes, like you say, other tribes as well. And now in music, even yeah, in fact, in lockdown, how many people have gone online and started singing and dancing because it's a way of coming together and communicating?
Yeah, I'd say a lot of people have started to do that, and to realize the even now the artists and musicians, people who who have this inside them and haven't found a way, have started doing courses on Zoom and giving uh, doing concerts. You know,
Mm.
I have taken out the. I can't find it, so apologies for that. I've knocked off Spotify and I can't find it back again.
Okay.
So music is
So
music is
whilst
gone.
whilst you look, you may find it. So it's interesting that the collective consciousness in this Scorpio moon and Scorpio at the moment, and in the I Ching and astrology, it is the time of entropy from that to freshness and to beauty. And this is what we're talking about as well in letting go.
Mm,
And and when we let go, it's like the trees are letting go, the leaves are falling off the tree, and they're
mm,
just letting go. And what they're doing is they're providing nourishment for the soil
absolutely.
so that something new and fresh. So it's not always, A Course in Miracles says and it might not be verbatim, but they more or less say that every situation properly perceived
Mm,
is an opportunity to heal.
yeah,
And even, when we have the tree that's losing its leaves in entropy, it's getting ready and preparing itself for nourishment so that it can come out with a new bud. So
yeah,
even those things might feel like they're falling apart at the moment, it will be preparing ourselves for something fresh and
absolutely.
beautiful. And of course, beauty is not what we think it is. Beauty is everything. It's the
Mm,
diversity. We're all beautiful in our own unique and individual. It's inside out beauty. It's in
mm.
the eye of the beholder, as they
The
say.
creation, yeah,
Yeah.
wonderful. Yeah, well, we're coming up to the hour.
Okay.
So I think you said you had something that you'd like to read out.
Yes. So it's about letting go again, and it's by Sophia Rose. And it's just about what you were talking about, Declan. It's about sometimes we just need to let go.
Mm,
Yeah. And so this is a poem called She Let Go.
mm,
Excuse me. She let go. She let go. Without a thought or a word, she let go. She let go of the fear. She let go of the judgments. She let go of the confluence of opinions swarming around in her head. She let go of the committee of indecision within her. She let go of all the right reasons, wholly and completely, without hesitation or worry. She just let go. Excuse me. She didn't ask anyone for advice. She didn't read a book on how to let go. She didn't search the scriptures. She just let go. She let go of all the memories that held her back. She let go of all the anxiety that kept her from moving forward. She let go of the planning and all the calculations about how to do it right. She didn't promise to let go. She didn't journal about it. She didn't write the projected date in her day timer. She made no public announcement and put no ad in the paper. She didn't check the weather report or read her daily horoscope. She just let go. She didn't analyse whether she should let go. She didn't call her friends to discuss the matter. She didn't do a 5-step spiritual mind treatment. She didn't call the prayer line. She didn't utter one word. She just let go. No one was around when it happened. There was no applause or congratulations. No one thanked her or praised her. No one noticed a thing. Like a leaf falling from a tree, she just let go. There was no effort, there was no struggle. It wasn't good and it wasn't bad. It was what it was. And it is just that. In the space of letting go, she let it all be. A small smile came over her face. A light breeze blew through her, and the sun and the moon shone for evermore.
Lovely. Mm,
Thank you, Declan.
that was beautiful. Thank you,
Joy.
Chrissy. That was lovely.